we figured that Halloween is a good excuse to look back at an unsolved murder that happened on Halloween Day in 1957. The victim was a 39-year-old man named Norton Gregory who operated a little convenience store between Kirkland and Redmond. The facts surrounding the case are still pretty slim, but Gregory was found shot execution style inside his shop. Historian Feliks Banel has been researching this story since he was a teenager, and you're joining me now, but you're looking a little different. We gotta acknowledge the Halloween costume.
Well, Kelly, I think we want to look at my the weather map here. There's a low pressure trough off the coast. You can see probably contributing to a convergence zone here.
A convergence zone?
South of Everett, North King County.
Jeff Renner.
That's right. Yeah. See this, but it's this era of Jeff Renner.
Okay, what era was that?
I can't do the voice. I'm going to destroy my.
I know.
This is from 1988. I was an intern at King 5 in 1988. Intern for Jeff Renner. Wow. I didn't ask his permission to do this today. So if he takes offense, I'm really sorry, Jeff. You were a great intern advisor and supervisor, but great TV weather forecaster icon on King 5 for years. And
wow.
One of my tribute to him on this Halloween.
It is a tribute. Thank you so much. And sporting the yellow jacket, looking fantastic.
And let's talk about my forecast, because if you go back, no, just kidding. No, we want to talk about this murder.
We got to get into, obviously, what you're here for, this unsolved case that you've been interested in since you were 19 years old. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I grew up on Rose Hill in Kirkland in the 1970s, and this was like a myth that I heard as a kid, the fact there's this unsolved murder. And when I got to college, when I was 19, I went and looked at the UW library, went through all the microfilm, and found not only was this murder unsolved, but it happened on Halloween. I'd never heard that fact before. And Rose Hill back in 1957 was very different from today. It wasn't like a suburb, it was like a rural area. In this little grocery store with a gas station, they found the body of this man, a woman named Mrs. N.R. O'Farrell, who I actually talked to 30 years ago.
You did? You
But I was too dumb. I didn't make any tape recordings of it.
Okay.
She had found his body. He was shot 5 times in the head. Very brutal crime. Really inexplicable for however much money might have been in the cash register, so it probably wasn't a robbery. Rumors swirled around about him having some debts from World War II, from Alaska, but he was this father of 6. He left behind a widow and 6 kids, all 17 or younger. And the investigation just kind of stumbled and stumbled. I talked to one of the first detectives on the scene, a King County deputy, and he told me, again, I didn't record it because I was too dumb, I was 19.
No, you weren't.
He said, I always wished we'd gone and searched in the woods back there behind there. There were so many woods. And you go there now, this is the intersection of 132nd and Northeast 70th. There's a big grocery store there. There's the bowling alley used to be there.
Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it was called Snyder's Corner in those days. Nobody calls it Snyder's Corner anymore.
So that's what it's looking like now, right there. That's what we're seeing.
And I grew up just sort of steeping in this as a child, and so to actually kind of dig into the archives, and you couldn't do a keyword search in those days, right? You had to get the microfilm, put it in the machine, spin it through manually, and just read each article to see. And I can't remember how long it took me to stumble across, finally find the headline. And the story goes on for a year. There's no,
and this was front page news is what we're looking at too.
All over the place. In Seattle, and then news all over the Northwest. And they couldn't find any clues. They never really had any suspects.
That's what I want to know. Is there a motive? Is there anything there?
It's such a brutal crime. It seems much more personal than just robbery, right? And then sometime in 1958, they thought maybe these teenage car thieves had done it, and they ruled that out, though. Then they found this kid about a year later. This kid said he confessed to it.
Okay.
He'd been picked up on some other petty crimes.
Someone actually confessed.
This 16 or 17-year-old boy. And it was all front page news. They interviewed the widow. She said, we're so relieved the holiday season's coming. Because she had reopened the store in November of 57 to carry it because she needed the income.
Did he say why he did it when he confessed?
No, but he said look for the gun under the University Bridge. He had all this specific detail. It turns out he'd been actually in prison or at Western State Hospital and escaped on November 1st of 1957. He couldn't have done it.
So it was impossible.
He'd read all the newspaper accounts and told the story just because he wanted attention. And, I've looked at the King County archives. They have these big files. They wouldn't let me see them, again, as a teenager. They're like, no, you can't see these because you're a punk. But they showed me the old boxes, and I said, and the last entry in the file was from 1966. I mean, this is a cold case. There's about 200 cold murder cases.
And this is still a cold case.
Still a cold case. And I don't ever want to lose sight of the family whose lives are just destroyed by this. It's a tragedy for those 6 kids and the widow. But, they wouldn't let me see files. And they told me it's one of about 200 unsolved murders going back to the World War II era in King County, where there's just either somebody disappeared or a body was found and they could never track down any evidence. And who knows, what might exist from any kind of DNA files
now,
or anything.
Right.
But, if you go to the store is long gone. It was replaced with a gas station in the 60s. It's just a different world. And I would guess that probably 0% of the people living within a mile of that location have any idea
Have you heard
horrible
anything
crime.
lately, like what's happening and where this case stands right now?
No, I mean, I talked to a detective at King County maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and they said, you know, so much time has elapsed, chances are the person who committed this is also dead.
Really?
And maybe they confess to somebody in prison. Maybe there's somebody who knows something, but as each day goes by, that just becomes less and less feasible. And because I didn't make those tape recordings, I didn't go to Radio Shack and buy a little phone recording thing when I was a dumb 19-year-old.
It's
I don't have the
okay.
audio. I remember the woman telling me I never set foot in the store again. And she said it was just the weirdest day of her life. So it was, you know, the woman who found the body. So it's a bizarre story, and then the fact that it happened on Halloween makes it just
so
head-spinning.
eerie. And oh my gosh, thank you for all this information, Felix. It's
Of
always
course.
so
Well,
fun
again,
having
this
you on. And
low
yeah,
pressure cell.
go back
Look
to your
out for the convergence zone because, you know.
Jeff Renner.
Thank you.
We
Thank
love
you.
you, Jeff.